All right. Are we there? Everybody here? That was weird. I got a funny error message saying that it wasn't hooked up. Please chat if you see me here. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just talking into the void. That was really strange. Well, anyway, hope everyone's doing good on this lovely Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to part 2 of the... that was part 1. Okay. The chat is delayed. Either way, welcome to part 2. We're going to talk about the second half of the album. The first half was the songs, Dragonfly, Canyon Run, Black Iris, Blank World, and Time After Time. Well, today we're into the second half. So before we even get started, I guess this record was kind of like accidentally a concept album in a sense. And I'll explain that. When I was finished writing all the songs, I realized that like half of them kind of fell into the kind of more rock, pop, alternative realm of instrumental music. And the second half was kind of more the groove, funk, soul kind of effect. So what I did is just decided to split the record in half, with Shimmy Tiger kind of being the bridge between both hemispheres, because I feel like that song was kind of a rock pop tune, but also has a lot of kind of funk and soul vibes. It's sort of like it's kind of like Little Red Corvette if it was a prog tune or something like that. So that's the first track on the docket. Somebody's saying my mic is a little low. Let me turn it up for you just a hair. That should make a little bit of a difference for you today. But let's see. Yeah, so Shimmy Tiger is the first song for today. And it's named after a little dance that my daughter used to do when she was a kid. And she called it the Shimmy Tiger. And I remember writing the name down in my phone thinking like, oh man, this is going to be a great song title for something. And then it just so happened that I was feeling like favorite songs I've written, I think. And please show us the Shimmy Tiger. I can't do it. I never learned how to do the dance. But maybe one day I'll get her ballet class to choreograph to it or something. But anyhow, I'm going to play it for you. I'll probably, kind of like last time, talk during the song a little bit because it's just less awkward than me like staring at the camera while you listen to the music. I'll point out some tone things. We'll talk tone. We'll talk composition. And get on with the second half of the record. All right. Glad this is working. That was a little bit scary for a second there. Here's Shimmy Tiger, everybody. This is a Logic synthesizer arpeggio that I played. Crunchy guitars like Little Red Corvette, kind of. And chips and tone mug. I was thinking, like, what would, Paula Abdul sing over this, or Tina Marie or something. The second song inspired by my daughter. No, it's probably like the 4th or 5th, and, I mean, is she receiving royalties? I mean, she's getting a savings account in the college funds at some point, so I guess that counts. Fun melody, I think. It's Jason Thomas on drums, Wes Stevenson on bass, and Daniel Porter on 95% of the keys. I played a little bit of it, but that's Daniel, not me. hearing this amp and this guitar and let's see, this pedal and this pedal. Slide guitar for one note. Love the stuff Dan played in here. It's great parts that he came up with. Toms. 80s toms. A little dream sequence part. There's two separate tones of clean guitar. You hear that one and you hear this one. It's DI. The other one comes back in, so it's a bit conversational between the two clean tones there. Was George Benson an influence? Sure. I almost deleted all of these parts, by the way. I'll explain. Yes, DI is in direct interface straight into the computer, or the recording console. Recording interface. I don't have a console here. Key change. Not an 80s pop tune without a modulation, people. We went from A minor to D minor. Or from C to F, I guess. It's two bass tracks. It's a clean bass track, and then we stacked it, or just replaced it, with a distorted bass track tucked on top of it. So it pokes out nice. You get that thick crunch. All that good stuff. All right, here's my big 80s rock guitar solo. Great fill by Wes. Final chorus. Take them home, people. I'll explain the bass thing a little bit better when I'm not also trying to listen to the song, but I got you. Hang on. All right, clocking it at a generous 6 minutes and 24 seconds. That was Shimmy Tiger by Mark Lettieri, obviously, because I'm the guy playing it. But here's the deal. I mentioned a couple things during this song. I almost cut out that entire bridge section. There's two bridges. There's kind of the clean, kind of funk R&B bridge, and then that sort of more progressive bridge with the long melodies. Because I thought the song was like too long. I was worried it was too long because the melody to me was so pop that the song had to be short. which I think would have been bad if I cut it out. So I had a couple different versions of that song with parts sliced out to try to get the time down. And I think the shortest I could get it was still 5 minutes, but then it didn't feel as fun. And anytime anybody heard the song in its entirety and then heard the version with the parts missing, they were like, oh, I missed that part. Why did, yeah. So I then was like, you know what? Cause I was listening to, a lot of stuff from, I have this band that I play with some friends back here in Texas called Dad Rock. We play like maybe once every 3 months or something. And we do like 70s and 80s. It's kind of like yacht rock stuff. It's like Phil Collins, Steely Dan, Journey, and that kind of stuff. But we were debating doing this Stevie Winwood song, Higher Love, which is an incredible tune. I love that song. And I was like, man, that song is almost 6 minutes and kind of reminds me of this song. So Stevie Winwood could get away with it. I can get away with it. So I left it all in. It's 6.5 minutes long. Whatever, who cares? But I feel like it feels complete. It's a journey now. But what was I going to say? Yeah, so the bass at the end there, it's two basses, but they're playing the exact same thing. So we recorded the song. Wes played the song down, and then the final chorus, when it shifts to the new key, we just took that bass track and then duplicated it. And then on the second copy of it, we added like a distortion plug-in. So it's two bass tracks playing the exact same thing, but it's mixed so where you get the low of the clean bass with the grit at the top of the distorted bass. So it gives it that nice kind of rock slap. Almost feels like the Chili Peppers or something like that. I'm not really sure. Like Flea or something like that. But that wasn't really the intention, but it ended up kind of coming out that way. But actually that maybe was the intention in some way, shape, or form. So that was Shimmy Tiger, and it's a really fun track to play live. We just do it as a quartet. I don't do any of the rhythm guitar. I do some of the rhythm guitar stuff, but I feel like the groove is great, the melody's strong, so maybe it doesn't always need the rhythm guitar, but who knows? Maybe we'll add it in later. I just have to be able to afford a 5-piece band. But that's a whole other podcast, right? But let me see. I'm going to try to get to some of these. Oh, hey, Duncan Plexco. Thank you for the tip. Appreciate it. Duncan Plexco from Six String Media, who has played a very important role in letting you guys know about this album. He was part of he was kind of the promo team. So thank you, Duncan. So probably if you saw something about this record on Facebook or Instagram, it might have had something to do with Duncan. So thanks, buddy. But let's see. I'm going to try to get to some of these questions before I go on to the next tune. Well, you know what? I'll just talk gear for a second. I think I did all the guitars on that song with the red Fiore here into this PRS Hendrix amp. Most of it was like, let's see, this pedal, which is the HRM by J Rocket, which is kind of like a Dumble style for the melodies. And then I hit the front end of this with the melody for the solos. Kind of the more higher gain stuff. The rhythm guitar track was pretty interesting. I wanted to kind of go for that like early 80s Prince distortion sound, which I don't know how he got that sound. Who knows what kind of amps he was using back then. But I tried to approximate it with the PRS, which is basically a Marshall Plexi type circuit. And then I used this Westernland 1 overdrive, which is a really cool overdrive made by my friend Shane Henry. And it's kind of like a cross between an overdrive and a fuzz. And so that's kind of how I EQ'd it to kind of get that not really distorted sound, but kind of like borders on fuzzy overdrive, which is to me what that early Prince guitar stuff sounded like. So that's what I was going with the rhythm guitars. And then I think the cleans were basically just DIs, I think. Maybe I used, or I might have just run the Hendrix clean or something like that. I think it's left on clean pretty much, and then I just hit it with the pedals. But so that was the tones on that record. Let's see. I did the keyboards. Daniel did them all at his house. He sent a bunch of really great stuff. I kept most of it. I love how he did those kind of like synth answer stab kind of things. It really, really made the whole thing kind of come together. JT did the drums. Wes did the bass. We recorded. Well, you know what? I think Wes did the bass at my house for this one. Yeah, I think he did. I think he came over and did this. But most of the bass and the drums were done at a studio in North Dallas called, at the time it was called Acoustic Kitchen, and now it is back to its original name of Cheka Studios, which was owned by the late, great Charlie Pride. Fun fact of Texas music there. So anyway, that's Shimmy Tiger. Let's see. What else can I tell you about that song if anybody wants to know about it? Yep, 6.5-minute pop song. But let's see. All right. I'm happy it really didn't cut out the bridges. Yeah, me too. I think it was good that I kept them in. Hey, Mark, how do you deal with finding perfectionism when recording these tunes? Well, I mean, if I'm recording at home, I kind of have the luxury of making things quote unquote perfect, but sometimes it doesn't feel as good. And so there's certain things in here that are not perfect. If you listen to maybe some of the really fast lines or something like that, like they're not, not every note is exactly the same dynamic or exactly the same cleanliness or whatever, but that's just how, to me, an electric guitar is supposed to sound. So I just leave that kind of stuff in, but I get it to the point, I'll tell you what, I get it to the point where I don't cringe when I hear it. And then I think it's right. But, of course, live, all bets are off. So I just like to make sure that I can play all this stuff, live in front of people. That's really my test for if I made the right choices compositionally, is if it works in front of an audience. But let's see what else. I'm trying to scroll up here. Cool. That's Shimmy Tiger. But let's see. I think Wes played a performance jazz bass on that one. JT used his Yamaha drums. Dan used, I think, a lot of Omnisphere. And then there's a little bit of my original Logic synthesizers that I put in there, kind of tucked in just for reinforcement. For Shimmy Tiger, what was the first rendition of it? Oh, that's interesting. I think I wrote the melody first. Yeah, I wrote the melody first and then the chorus, the chords in the chorus. So the chorus was the first thing, and then it kind of just developed into that basically the melody is just kind of over a static A minor, and then the rest of the changes kind of happen in the bridge. That's where a lot of the more harmonic color comes from. So I think I want to write more songs like this. I feel really at home composing like this and playing that kind of stuff. I feel like maybe I'm finally coming into my own as a rock guitar player, even though I've always wanted to be a real one. But anyway, let's see. The warble sound you get on the trem at the end of the last bar of the main riff, is that something special you're doing or just the output of the effects? Like the main melody or the main guitar riff? I think you mean the melody. It's probably the tremolo bar as it's reacting with the amp, and probably the delay and the reverb. So you're probably just hearing a combination of all that sort of stuff. These trem bars are pretty, responsive, so you can get a lot of cool funny stuff happening. How do you deal with the harshness of IEMs live? I don't use in-ear monitors live unless I absolutely have to. I usually just wear earplugs. If there's not an amp on stage, then I will probably wear in-ears, but that's rare that I'm on a gig like that. Usually if you come see the Mark Lettieri group, there's amps. Snarky Puppy has amps. Fearless Flowers has amps. So it's rare that I do in-ear gigs. But I have a good pair by Clear Tune monitors. They make great ones. I'm used to the way it sounds, and you just kind of roll with it, But if I usually just use amps. Okay, cool. Let's get on with it. Next tune is, where is it? Saturday Stuff. All right, so now a little bit baritone funk on the record. I had to put some baritone funk because if I didn't, I would feel incomplete and you might be mad. So while this is not baritone deep volume 3, there's a healthy dose of baritone on this record. So this is called Saturday Stuff. I wrote it a couple years ago on a Saturday. It just became a demo at first, and I think was going to go on deep volume 3, but when I started working on this record, I was like, man, I'm just going to put it on this one, and it's going to be great. Let's see. Oh, here, I'll answer this real quick. Hey, Mark, love the new album. Thank you, Mark. Looking forward to seeing you in Toronto with Corey Wong. Are you going to be playing any songs off the new album at the show? I think so. I guess. Maybe. I don't know yet. We haven't talked about it. Also, will you be signing autographs? Probably. Sure. You want one? Yeah, I'll sign something for you. Okay. So for this song, I used pretty much Dan Electro baritone, programmed a key bass part for Wes to play, but I really like what he did better than what I did. So this one was kind of inspired by the late, great Don Blackman, who is an incredible jazz and R&B artist from New York. Worked a lot in like the kind of the 70s and 80s in the Jamaica, Queens, New York jazz scene. One of the funkiest human beings I've ever heard. I'm going to put the name in the chat here, Don Blackman. Definitely check out his record. I think he did maybe 1 or 2 solo records, but just unbelievably funky. So this is a bit of a tribute to him. This one's called Saturday Stuff, and then I'll talk about it. Here we go. Stereo Dan Electros. Wes is in the middle. Little digital screwed up organ sound. Bobby Sparks put real organ on this, which you'll hear in a minute. It's kind of a roller skating song. There might be an octave on both baritones, slightly. This is the Prince Sexy MF part. Oh yeah, King's X shirt, of course. Wes is playing this with his thumb. It's kind of a cool little technique where it almost sounds like he's playing with a pick, but he's playing with his thumb. Add a little bit more synth on the B section the second time around. That's a Logic thing, I just put some delay on. Changalangs, of course. Now we bring in some clean guitar. Those are DI Fiores. Here we go. Pop bridge. Sus chords. The 80s. Synth. It's like Tony, Tony, Tony or something. Earth, Wind, and Fire, maybe more. I love this part. Don't mind if I say so myself. It's basically this. Daniel Porter. I did track this at home. Yeah. Probably in my underwear. JT and Dan. Why did I pick... Charlie, I'll answer your question after this one. Real mother for you. Mother for ya. Johnny Guitar Watson. Thriller. Look at that. Bobby with the B3. Coming in here in just a second. There he is. Church. stereo distorted guitars playing the melody. That song probably could have been longer. That could have been a studio fade. We jam it out a little bit more live. But I wanted to put the song on the record because I knew the record was going to be pretty diverse, and I thought, having some baritone funk on there would be good. I mean, the record's called Can I Tell You Something because I feel like I'm kind of at a point in my career where I've done a lot of things instrumentally with a lot of different projects, including my own stuff. It's been very diverse, so I thought, maybe this record could kind of encompass a lot of the things that I like to compose. And so, can I tell you something? And this is what I'm telling you. So we got the baritone stuff, we got the Shimmy Tiger stuff, we got all kinds of stuff. So if you're tuning into the first time and you're like, who the hell is this guy in his room with his King's X shirts and all his gear? This is what I sound like. So you could start with this record and work yourself backwards, I guess. But yeah, if anybody asks what baritone funk is, you can probably play them. Maybe that tune, or one of these other ones. But I'll get to the other ones in a second. But yeah, so that was all done on this guitar. These Dan Electras are just great for funk. They're just they're awesome. And then there was a little bit. The clean guitars were the Fiore, bunch of synth by Dan. Let's see, what else did we do on this song? This was kind of like a one taker for the guys, so I usually we don't do a whole bunch of takes on these, especially when they're playing to the demos. Like, everyone's instincts are pretty good right off the bat. But let me get some of these questions here. Why did I pick an SSH guitar? Man, I've always liked having a humbucker in the bridge of every guitar. That's just my sound, and I think it's more flexible as well. And it just always made more sense to me. I never really liked the bridge pickup sound on a regular single coil Strat. So I've had a humbucker in my Strat since I was 15. Let's see, what else? How do you pick the synth sound that goes with the guitar tone, or is it the other way around? Usually the guitar tones happen first. And you just have to kind of think about not so much like frequency necessarily, but just like what the colors are you want to portray. And frequency does come into play, especially if you're stacking things, because you want everything to kind of live in its own world. But I also found out that sometimes it's best to start with stuff that's dry, not a lot of reverb, not a lot of delay and stuff like that, and just to see how the parts fit together before you start adding effects. Synth tones are so flexible, so sometimes it can take a little bit of work to really try to find the main focus of a tune. So there's a lot of R&D on that kind of stuff. Is there any quantizing happening? No. We might shift a few things around, but not just no quantizing. But, everyone's working in digital today, so if you got to shift a thing, you shift a thing. But, we're not like gridding stuff or anything like that. But let's see. If you come see the band live, we're pretty tight, so what you hear on the record is what we do in person. So we're not in there faking it in the studio. But let's see. Those are coming fast. Thank y'all for watching. There's 100 of you here. That's pretty amazing. All right. So that was Saturday's stuff. And from first listen to Can I Tell You Something, I did feel like each song almost embodied one of your past albums. Thank you. Peace to you. I appreciate that, man. That's kind of what I was going with this. So let's see. Bro, I play all the Deep albums when they ask. Well, that works too. Thank you, Tomato Duck. That is a great screen name, by the way, too. Tomato Duck. I write a song called Tomato Duck. All right. So let's get going. Next tune. Actually, let me answer this. Hey, Mark, are there any songs on the album or in your discography that you find difficult to play live or translate into a live band context? No, I don't think so. We've played just about everything. I think the only one we've never done Stoplight Loose Jaw, just because we just haven't yet, and we haven't rehearsed it. And we only did. I have a lot of songs. We only did like Daggertooth maybe once. We only did like Barrel Eye maybe once. And it wasn't because they didn't work. I just felt like there were other songs that maybe worked better. I mean, sometimes you just have to play a song a bunch of times to make it work. And I think when we were working up Daggertooth, some of the venues where we were playing on that particular tour, that song wouldn't have worked in. So we didn't really get a chance to practice it much. That's just kind of how it happens on the road sometimes. You're asking me about what are my thoughts on Sammy Hagar tour with Mike. I bought tickets. I got 3 tickets. I'm going. And it's going to be badass. I'm excited. So, all right, let's see. Let's listen to more music that I wrote. All right, this next song is called Green Space, and I wrote it about the space behind our house. Where we live, I don't have a backyard. I have like a kind of like a deck situation that just sort of drops off into a ravine. There's like a creek. It's pretty cool, but like it's not a yard. And so there's all kinds of funky stuff back there. There's like foxes and raccoons and squirrels and birds and frogs and stray cats and beer cans from 1984, which I found on a excursion down there one day. So I wrote a song about my backyard, and this is a pretty jammy number. This one I think definitely probably flexes a little bit of my Schofield influences and stuff like that. So this one's called Green Space. I used my Fender concert amp for a bunch of the parts on this song. Here we go. And my Fender Bassman with the Westerland 1. I did all the synthesizers with this plugin called the Prince. There's a bit crusher on the guitar, on the melody. Amp is noisy as hell too. I love it. Left it all in. It also kind of sounds like My Name Is by Eminem. It's in G for green, which is also my synesthesia color for the key of G. So, green. Lay it back. Wes and JT kind of did that instinctively when they heard how the melody was phrased. So now we're flexing that triplet quite a bit. Straighten it out here. Yeah, Wes is using a 5-string P bass. Now we get into sort of like 70s modal Herbie Hancock land. Just a couple sus chords. Little intro melody. Yeah, that is the Fiore neck pickup. I think I used the Black Iris one for most of this song. They all sound great. This one seems a little warmer. I don't know. The particular piece of ash. I don't know. So this was the Fender concert amp on the gain channel. I'll explain this amp a little bit. It's a pretty cool piece of gear. And that's a guitar underneath, not a keyboard. It's a Logic plugin that I tweaked. Now, Wes and JT played to my original demo solo, and then I replaced the solo. So, but it still kind of sounds like we were all in the same room, kind of reacting. A lot of whammy bars. I doubled the melody on the left side with an upper octave fuzz. And back to the little intro where we harmonize it with some chords. This riff almost was in a Fearless Flyers song. It was part of the original demo to Blue Straggler. But I took it out and put it in this song. And final chorus with some extra melody added. Section. So when we play this live, Dan just busies up the keyboard rhythm a little bit, and I play this melody. And sustain the notes a little bit longer to kind of cover up space, but still kind of keep it funky. Watching this on two devices, they're about 1 second off. That's fun. All right, so that's Green Space. That's a really fun one to play live. Sometimes I'll take the solo, sometimes Dan will take the solo. I think we're going to go, in a couple of weeks, go into the studio and do a live version of that for YouTube so you guys can see us playing it if you haven't been able to make it to a gig. But yeah, I was really happy with that, how that song came out, because it is kind of floaty and, you know, a little bit more vibey, which can be tough to capture when you're recording, you know, rhythm sections separate from guitars. But these guys listen so well and react so well that it always works. So let's see, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the concert amp. This is a 1983 Rivera era Fender concert amp. If you know anything about the Rivera era, Paul Rivera, the famous amp designer and amp modder, was modding Fender Deluxes and various other amps for all the studio guys back in the early 80s in LA, and you had to have a Rivera modded Deluxe or something. Well, I guess Fender hired him or something and had him do some of those mods or something to their concert series of amps. And they're pretty sought after. My buddy Mason Marangel at Vertex did a video about them and drove all the prices up. Just kidding. But I was able to get one before they got crazy expensive from a gentleman down in Austin. And it's a really fun rig, very kind of period correct. And the gain channel is pretty cool. It's kind of this gritty kind of, I don't know, early, like late 70s kind of tone. And so that's what I used for a lot of the guitar parts on this song. But let's see, Mark, did you produce the record? Yes, I produced the record. Wrote all the songs except for Time After Time, obviously. But let's see. Mark, do you usually write all the parts for other instruments, or you let your players freestyle? I write everything, and then I let them turn it inside out. So if I write it, at least I know I can get what I want. If at the end of it we decide that that's the way to go, but I'm totally open to interpretation. So like, for example, a song like Shimmy Tiger, right? I wrote the parts, but like keyboards, for example, Dan took my kind of instructions and then added his own elements to it, right? JT interpreted my drum beat. Wes interpreted my bass part. So it sounds like the fellas, even though I sort of composed it. And that's kind of the way Snarky Puppy works too. And in, you know, kind of the way the Fearless Flyers works in some regard as well. You know, if stuff's laid out the way the composer wants it, then at least they know what they're getting, and then they can rely on the individual players' personalities to bring the parts together. And then, you know, of course, there's other things where stuff is kind of totally more off the cuff and not as composed. But I like to have everything exactly the way I want it before we start turning everything inside out. All right, let's see. Mark, please come back to Berlin. Okay, I'd like to. I think we'll be back there in March, actually. Reminds me of Blow by Blow. Yeah, sure. That was a huge record for me. I got that one in college. I got that one in Wired, and it pretty much changed my musical trajectory as a composer, I think. I was like, whoa, where's this been all my life? So let's keep going, man. All right, off to another baritone funk tune. This one's called Neural Net, and the title, I had some silly title at first that made no sense, but then as I started writing, I was watching MTV, you know, as a young kid, and Terminator 2 was like the biggest movie around, and so this song kind of reminds me of that period in life, and also kind of an homage to Arnold, Terminator 2. So the title Neural Net is from the line where he says, "My CPU is a neural net computer," or a learning computer, a neural net processor, a learning computer, whatever he says. So that's where that came from, and this one features the good old Bruno Bacci Leonardo Funk Machine, as well as this nice PRS 277, which I've put some different pickups on, which I'll talk about in a second. So this one's called Neural Net, and I wrote this kind of like Parliament Funkadelic keyboard melody for it. And this one's myself, JT, Wes, Daniel, and Bobby Sparks on organ and a little bit of mini Moog. And goes like this. So here comes the T800. I actually snuck in a bit of the melody from Terminator 2 in here. I'll tell you where it is. It's in the chords. It's not the exact melody, but a lot of vibes. I wore my thumb out writing this this bass line for Wes. Bernie Worrell type melody, you know? Little Terminator 2 melody. Bobby with the organ back there. Love Bobby's chords here. So if you didn't already know, I'm a big fan of Chucky Booker. So he was probably a bit of an influence on this one too. I'm going to put his name in the chat. I love this little part that Dan added. So you give the guys direction, they play what you wrote, and then they do other cool stuff. That's kind of how the studio works, you know? This riff doesn't suck. So that was this with an octave pedal. This one does well live too. Little soli. triplets. Oh, thank you, Ken. Appreciate that. So I'm thinking the hook is kind of in the riff, but then I add another hook on top of it just to kind of keep the momentum going. So now we have this melody. Reprise. Back to the Terminator. That was just a logic thing. I don't know what that was, but I just hit the lowest note. There you go. Neural net. Yeah, that's a fun one to play live. We've been playing pretty much the entire record. Actually, I think we played all the songs at this point. But let's see. What type of string do you use? These are 72 to 14. And then obviously, this song is in A. The other one was in B, which is why I had the capo. But yeah, so the rhythm guitar, the verse guitars were the bocce. The chorus guitars were the PRS. What else can I tell you about this one? Yeah, the whole song was pretty much baritone, I think. I don't think there was any non-baritone guitar. So you could also play that one to someone if they want to know what baritone funk is. But yeah, that's a fun tune. I'm proud of myself for writing that one, I guess. But anyway, little ode to Terminator 2 there. All right, let's keep it moving with Gemstone. This is the last song on the record. Probably the happiest song I've written. Happiest sounding song. And, I wanted just kind of a simple, fun, up-tempo, basic pop funk tune. I mean, it's not basic. There's some stuff in it, but I guess I can't write anything that's totally simple, but what a terrible superpower. But anyhow, this is another fun one to play. The way I wrote the guitar part as one part to be played by one guitar, which is what I do live, but when I recorded it, I split up the riff actually. So you'll hear kind of like two tones, slightly different tones of the same kind of thing. One tone was pressings downstairs. They sound really good. Let's see, possibly an impossible question, but which of all your songs do you enjoy playing live the most? One baritone, one regular. Oh, I don't know. I'm really liking playing Neural Net, and I'm liking playing Canyon Run of the new ones. But I mean, I got a lot of songs. They're all fun. Whichever ones I can remember to play with all together. Do you think you'll record a record with an orchestra? I would love to. We did that thing with the Metropole Orchestra earlier in the summer, just as a one-off for a gig, but everyone had a really good time. So I hope the plan at some point is to do an album. But anyway, let's play Gemstone, and then we'll talk a little bit more, and then I'll send everybody home. All right, this one's called Gemstone, and it goes like this. Thank you, Mark. No, I just let the noise go. Here's guitar 1, guitar 2, both of them together. This is DI with a fuzz from Logic. Definite keyboard salad on this one. Dan went crazy. And then I left some of my keyboards in here too. Wes thinks this sounds like that. Let's hear it for the boy. That one. I don't know who actually did that song, but. Good old 4 on the floor, 1 chord. I love the gated verb on the snare. Solo. Well, intro melody, which is the garage. Great bass fill, Wes. So yeah, solo's the garage. It's like 1 take, I think, maybe. So then, same melody, just reharmonize the chords. Same melody. Chorus out. Great fill. So this one the guys played for quite a while, and then I just did a studio fade. My demo just had it going and they just kept playing. Wes wanted to get some more fills in, so right here. Great. Coming to the end. Gotta have a studio fade. You know, nothing wrong with studio fade. So that was Gemstone, and I the name, I don't know, just thought it sounded fitting for how the song made me feel. Bright, poppy, shiny song. And so, yeah, that's the record. Thank you guys very much for listening. Joey Lomas was the mix engineer on that project. Dave McNair was the mastering engineer. For the full credits, I think that's pretty much everybody. Mason McCall engineered Bobby's organ. We had an assistant named Ellie Gallo. Zach played, Bobby played. You know, the full credits are on my website and Bandcamp and all that. The videos were done by Andy LaViolet, assisted by Patrick Crane, and that was really fun. Basically, we went over to Patrick's studio and filmed me playing all the parts of the songs in all different places in that studio. And then Andy somehow, with his Final Cut Pro magic, multiplied me. And I think it came out really cool. My initial idea for the video for Shimmy Tiger was to rent out a roller rink and have somebody choreograph like a big roller skating dance. But that would have been like tens of thousands of dollars. So I don't know, maybe sometime later we could do that. If everyone donates today and purchases the record, then maybe we can make that video happen. But yeah, if you enjoy these, feel free to donate. You know, I'm happy to give you guys this music, and I'm grateful that you continue to support me and allow me to do it. But anyway, let's see. Any questions about that last tune? That was Gemstone. We might do a live in studio version of that one too. I got a list. Depends on how many days we can book. Bossa Nova and jazz. I don't know if I'm the guy to do a Bossa Nova record, but we'll see. On the bits that sound like other things, for some reason the chorus bridge on Title Tale makes me think of Britney Spears. Nice, man. She's a legend. If we can get her to, I'll do a Britney Spears song. That'd be awesome. I did actually on Instagram. I did "Hit Me Baby" one more time on my hybrid guitars. I think I wore some silly outfit too. But anyway, but yeah, we'll probably might do Canyon Run live. Maybe we'll do Blank World. I don't know. We'll see. But that's the record. It's called Can I Tell You Something? It's available all over the world. If you dig it, please get it. If you really dig it, please buy it. Or whatever. But I'm happy for you to stream it. Whatever way is convenient for you to receive the music is good for me. So, what's next? Well, we've got a couple tour dates with the Mark Lettieri group in Colorado that are all up on my website. And then I will be joining Snarky Puppy for a few things in October. And then I will be on tour with Corey Wong in November, joining his band kind of as like stunt guitar, I guess, as Frank Zappa used to call Steve Vai. So it's me, stunt guitarist, which is going to be really fun. Very stoked to get out on that tour. We got a great band called Couch opening for us, which is going to be really fun. But yeah, and then I'll be doing, like I said, I have the test pressing for the vinyl of this album downstairs. I'm about to sign off on it, and that should be to you in a couple months. It's going to be a special edition of vinyl, and you'll see when that happens. But let's see. Yeah, thank you guys so very much for watching these goofball things. Maybe I'll do some more of them. I don't know. I guess people like hanging out, talking about music on the internet. But yeah, thank you, Jeff. 10 pounds for beer money. That's like $12 US, dude. I can get a pack of some decent microbrew or something for that. But yeah, feel free to donate if you'd like. Proceeds go towards, yes, I guess my child's college fund and other things. Mortgage, kitchen counters, fixing that hole in the roof. I got to figure out what's up with that. I don't think it's an actual hole, but I think there's a shingle missing. I'll get to it. But anyway, again, thank you all for watching. This will be posted onto the page as soon as this is over, and you can watch it again and leave some more comments, and I'll try and get to them. But Can I Tell You Something is out now on Ground Up Music, and hope I can get to a show, play some music like this for you soon. And yeah, I don't know what the next record is going to be. Might be with an orchestra, might be a baritone record, might be a record with singers. I don't know. I got a lot of thoughts. But appreciate you guys for supporting this and allowing me to do what I do. If y'all keep listening, I'll keep making it. So y'all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Peace, y'all.